Hello friends, welcome back to Daily Movie Recaps. A new movie recapped, every single day. Today, we will recap an American epic fantasy film, Willow, released in 1988. Spoilers up ahead, so watch out. Enjoy the recap. The film starts with a prophecy, and according to the prophecy, a girl with a mark on her arm will be born, and the little girl will grow up to become a powerful empress, and she will bring downfall to the evil Queen Bavmorda. The queen cannot allow this to happen, so she seizes all pregnant women in the kingdom, and will kill the special baby as soon as she is born. The baby girl is finally born, and one of the midwives informs the queen's daughter, the warrior princess, Sorcerer, who runs to tell her mother. The baby's mother begs another midwife to help them. Considering the purpose of her birth, the midwife agrees to help. The midwife hides the baby in a basket of rags, and then sneaks the baby out of the castle. When the queen arrives and discovers this, she suspects the midwife. The queen will have the mother killed, and send her soldiers and devil dogs after the midwife. The midwife makes her way across the country with the baby, but the devil dogs catch her. To protect the baby, she puts her into a basket made of sticks, and pushes her down the river. After some days, the baby is found by a Nelwyn, named Willow Ofgood, and his family. Willow is a young farmer, and a sorcerer, who wants nothing to do with the baby. But his family overrules him, and takes the baby with them. Once they get the baby back to the house, Kaiya, Willow's wife, asks him to hold the baby. After holding the baby for a few minutes, Willow smiles, and starts to accept the baby as one of his own. The next day, Willow and his other two children, Mims and Rhiannon, attend a festival in the Nelwyn village, where Willow performs magic tricks. The festival comes to a stop, as one of the devil dogs attacks the village. The village warriors quickly kill the dog, but the whole town is in shock. Willow realizes that the baby is what the dogs are after, and tells Kaiya that they have to take it to the village council. When Willow arrives at the village council with the baby, they overhear the village saying that whoever is responsible for the attack will be severely punished. Hence, Willow turns to leave, but is stopped by the High Aldwin, the village elder, who is also Willow's mentor. Willow presents the baby to the village council, and Burglekutt suggests giving it to the dogs. The High Aldwin understands that the baby belongs to Daikini, the people who are taller in size. He also senses something special about the child, and tells everyone that the baby must survive at all costs. He puts together a team composed of Willow, his best friend, Migosh, the reluctant Burglekutt, and several of the village's best warriors. He orders them to take the baby to the Daikini crossroads, and give it to the first tall person that they see. Back at Nockmaar, Bavmorda recruits General Kale to help Sorcerer find the baby. Desperate for her mother's approval, Sorcerer refuses help from Kale, and only accepts when her mother forces her to. After they leave, one of Bavmorda's astrologers predicts that Sorcerer will betray her. Bavmorda laughs. When Willow and the others arrive at the crossroads, they meet a Daikini thief, named Madmartigan, imprisoned in a crow's cage. Having found a Daikini, Burglekutt tells Willow to give Madmartigan the baby. Willow refuses, because he doesn't believe him. Annoyed by Willow's unwillingness to cooperate, the others head home, except Migosh. The next day, an army marches by, and Willow tries to give the baby to one of the soldiers, but no one cares. Madmartigan sees his old friend, Eric, and he informs Madmartigan that the Nockmaar army has destroyed the kingdom of Galadorn. Madmartigan tells Eric to let him out, so he can help in the fight against Nockmaar, but Eric, remembering how selfish Madmartigan can be, leaves him to rot. After the army passes, and seeing no other option, Willow and Migosh free Madmartigan, and give him the baby. Madmartigan leaves after promising to take good care of the baby. As Willow and Migosh head back towards home, they see an eagle, carrying the baby and being ridden by a brownie, people who are smaller than Nelwyn. They chase after the eagle, and are eventually captured by the other brownies. Willow and Migosh wake up hours later, tied to the ground, and surrounded by a pack of brownies, led by Frangen. A voice from the forest orders Frangen to release Willow and Migosh. The brownies quickly cut their ropes. The forest god, Churlandria, appears to them and greets Willow, and tells him that the baby is under her protection. She reveals to them that the baby's real name is Allura Danan. Allura has chosen Willow to be her guardian, because she likes him. Churlandria reveals Allura's destiny to Willow, and instructs him to take Allura to the kingdom of Tir Asleen, where a good king and queen will look after her. She gives Willow her magic wand, and tells him to take it to Finn Raziel, an old rival of Bavmorda. She also warns Willow that if he doesn't accept the calling, Allura will surely die, and nothing will stop Bavmorda. The next day, Willow decides to continue on, and sends Migosh back to the village. Willow starts out on the island of Finn Raziel, guided by Frangen and Rule. At a tavern along the road, they run into Madmartigan. Neither are happy to see each other, since Willow feels Madmartigan is untrustworthy, and Madmartigan believes Willow is an annoyance. But when Bavmorda's troops search the tavern, Madmartigan helps Willow escape from there. Then Madmartigan also joins them on their way to the island. When they get to the island, Madmartigan goes his own way, and Willow goes to find Raziel. After finding Raziel, Willow is surprised to see that she has been turned into an opossum. He takes her to see Allura. Seeing the baby confirms Raziel's faith in the prophecy. Raziel can't do anything as an opossum, so she tells Willow to change her back into a human. But Willow is just an amateur, and he cannot do it. Just then, Bavmorda's troops approach, with the arrested Madmartigan. Raziel, Allura, and Willow are captured, and taken to a Nockmaar encampment in the mountains. Frangen and Rule are left behind, and are forced to track the horses up the mountains. In the camp, Willow and Madmartigan free Raziel and Willow, and attempt to change her back into her human form. He fails, and accidentally changes her into a crow. Frangen and Rule arrive, and offer to help them out of their cage. Frangen uses his spear to pick the lock. Madmartigan, who is a thief, tries to help them, but ends up stuck in a sack containing a very powerful fairy love potion perfume. Madmartigan sneaks into Sorsha's tent to retrieve Allura, but stops the moment he sees Sorsha. Sorsha awakens, and threatens to kill him, but stops when she hears his poetry. At least until Kale arrives with Willow and the baby. Presuming that Madmartigan was lying to her as a distraction, she resumes attacking him. Madmartigan then grabs a spare sword, and destroys the tent support, kissing Sorsha and then cutting his way out. It is at this point that Madmartigan proves his claims of being an expert swordsman, by dispatching 3 soldiers in a matter of seconds. Using a shield as a sled, Willow and Madmartigan ride out of the camp, and down the hill toward a small village. Frangen and Rule are left behind once again. After falling off the sled, and smashing into a house as a human snowball, Madmartigan comes out from the effects of the love potion. Raziel catches up, and warns everyone in the village that Kale and his men are coming. Willow and Madmartigan hide with the rest of the villagers, and meet up with Eric, who lost half of his forces to Bavmorda. Even after capturing Sorsha, Eric doubts highly that Madmartigan and Willow could ever take Bavmorda on. Nevertheless, Madmartigan remains loyal to Willow, and the two escape, with Sorsha as their captive, and Eric covering their escape. On the road to Tir Asleen, Sorsha asked Madmartigan if he was serious about being in love with her. Madmartigan says that he wasn't himself, and has since come to his senses. Insulted, Sorsha escapes from Madmartigan and Willow, and goes back to find Kale. The arrival at Tir Asleen is quickly tempered, when the group realizes that the castle has been cursed by Bavmorda. While Madmartigan equips himself from the castle's armory, Willow retries in his attempts to turn Raziel into a human, but fails, and Raziel is now a goat. Madmartigan uses what little time he has to set up a defense, and Willow with his magic, creates a 2-headed dragon called Aborsis. As Kale arrives at the gate, the Aborsis grows at an alarming rate, making Kale shift his men between fighting Madmartigan, the dragon, and searching for Allura. During the fight, Sorsha turns sides, and fights alongside Madmartigan and Eric's army. But Kale manages to injure Willow, and escapes with the child. Back at Nockmaar, Bavmorda is pleased to see that Allura has been finally caught, but at the same time, she is angry to hear that Sorsha has turned against her. At the gates of Nockmaar, Eric's army has set up camp. Bavmorda turns the entire force into pigs, excluding Willow and Raziel. Willow, knowing the hour is desperate, tries a final time to return Raziel into human form, and he succeeds this time. With the help of the wand, Raziel turns the entire army back to human form. Willow then suggests a strategy that will get them inside the castle. The next morning, Willow and Raziel stand in front of the castle, and mock the soldier inside. Seeing that, Kayla orders to kill them, hence the soldier comes from inside, opening the gates. When the gates are opened, Madmartigan and Eric's troops march into the castle, and start fighting. Sorsha guides Raziel and Willow to the tower where Allura is held. During the battle, Madmartigan kills Kale. Meanwhile, Sorsha manages to kill Bavmorda's aides, but is rendered unconscious when her mother attacks her magically. Finally, Raziel and Bavmorda begin fighting over the wand, and eventually, Raziel is choked until she is also unconscious. On his own, Willow manages to grab Allura, but is cut off when Bavmorda seals the doors. Willow then tricks Bavmorda, by seemingly making the child disappear. In a rage, Bavmorda knocks over a vial of blood, that would have been used on Allura. Moments later, she is struck by cursed lightning, resulting in exiling her own soul to the underworld. As Madmartigan arrives, and Sorsha and Raziel regain consciousness, Willow explains that he used his classic disappearing pig trick to hide the baby. Back at Tir Asleen, The curse is lifted, and the kingdom is restored to its former glory. Madmartigan and Sorcia stay, and raise Alora Danan as their daughter. Raziel gives Willow a book of basic magic, and tells him that he is on his way to becoming a great sorcerer. Willow is then sent home on a white pony. Back in the Nelwyn village, Willow is greeted with a hero's welcome from the whole village. He is happy to see Migosh, a High Old One, and especially his family again. Please leave a like or comment to let us know which movie you would like to watch next. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications. This way you'll never miss any movie recap again. Thanks for watching, and stay safe.